Hi, I'm Bill Corcoran Jr., and I'm your host for the On the Stacks podcast. Today, I'm chatting with entrepreneur and business owner, Danny Cronauer. What's up, podcast episode 76 of the On the Stacks podcast in the Blue Door studio. Welcome back to the podcast, Danny.
I appreciate you having me here.
Yeah, part two.
Redemption.
Yeah, this is your redemption episode. You were on episode 14 of the podcast, like way back in the day, June of 2020, which, you know, let's leave the past in the
2020.
past.
That's all we gotta say. 2020.
Yeah. So why are you back?
I wanted to talk more entrepreneurship and value as far as a business ownership standpoint. I started a few businesses and done pretty well, and it's fun. So something I'm passionate about is helping people become more entrepreneurial, or not even become entrepreneurial, because I think it's in kind of all of us. I kind of have a theory that, like, linked to depression is that years ago when we were like cobblers and shoemakers and blacksmiths, like everyone felt so much better about what they were doing, and like the whole like industrial revolution like kind of like hindered that. And I think you gotta like phoenix that, like break out of the ashes. Like once you start your own business and like you just take on that role, I just think it just feels natural.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping I come back to deliver some of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So in episode 14 when you were on, you just touched on a little bit, not a whole lot, but you went to school for education, and you're not doing that like at all, right?
Yeah, no, I went for a health and phys ed. I had 4 great party years at East Stroudsburg, and but just never made it as a phys ed teacher.
How come?
I don't know. I just I started my business. I was a substitute, and my dad asked me to like help him clean our roof, and I'm like, sure, yeah. What? Like cleaning your roof? Who the hell cleans roofs? So he had this like Breaking Bad setup. It was like a kiddie pool filled with chemicals. Our ladder at the time didn't even reach the roof, so I'm like holding the power washer like above my head.
Sounds safe.
Full disclosure, you don't use power washers on a roof. We didn't know what we were doing. So we applied the chemical to the roof. By the time I got to the bottom of the ladder, like it was unbelievably clean. It was like magic. It was literally magic. And so I started that business, and while I was starting that business, I was still looking for a job opportunity. But 2010, when I graduated, like 100 and something teachers in the Pocono school districts were laid off. And I was like, well, it's a bad time to find a job for teaching. And I started the business, and I really didn't look back. I just said, forget it. Side note, I had a friend also I live with in East Stroudsburg, also went to school for health and phys ed. I helped him start an Apex in Jersey. He quit being a teacher and to start his own business.
Nice.
So pretty cool. Yeah.
So did you always have like this entrepreneurial spirit?
I don't know. There's pictures of me like selling lemonade when I was like 12. If that counts for anything. Yeah, I have the hustle for sure. Like, and I think that comes down to like you creating your own reality. Like just put the work in and like get where you want to go in life. And at school there was this like deal you could like get someone to sign up for a bank account, and they'll give you like a $10 like gift card to the gas station, right? So in college, I went down to like everyone in my dorm. I'm like, yo, like come sign up for this bank account. You get $20, I get 10. And they're like, hell yeah, let's go do it. So I did it to like everyone, so many people. They offered me a job, and I actually turned it down because I was making more money just getting my friends to sign up than I would have just hourly working for the school. Yeah. So I have that. Like that's part of me for sure.
Yeah. Right? So, all right. So you started the power washing business.
Yeah.
Right?
So Apex Soft Wash, formerly Apex Roof Cleaning, rebranded to be a little diversify out of roofs and to be more all well-rounded, I should say, like doing roofs, houses, commercial stuff. Roof cleaning kind of limited us, but mistakes that you make in business like that, branding, limited branding. The roof cleaning business started it like out of my childhood tree fort. Literally, we cut the legs off the tree fort, brought it to the ground, put chemical tanks in it. I'll send you a picture of it later.
Nice.
I saved it one day because I knew I wanted to look back at that. And now, my goal was to do $500,000 of work this year, like power washing this year. Like, and people think like they put their nose up to power washing, like, or like the service type businesses. I'm like, yo,
why?
Like, there's plumbers that drive Lamborghinis. Like, you just have to have the skill set and the know how to do it. And like, I mean, I was cleaning the roof and I got myself off the truck, as we say, and started helping the people around me. And my goal is to just like help the other people, and then I could get where I want to go and they get where they want to go. And you never know where it's going to lead you to. like, I had no idea I'd own a gym. I own a gym today, or 2 gyms, me and my brother, because I started a power washing business 10 years ago. Like, that's like or I could have just been a gym teacher and probably stayed a gym teacher.
Yeah.
And nothing wrong with gym teachers. I love gym teachers, but you get my point.
Yeah, but it's just kind of one thing led to another.
Yeah, like compounding your wins. We had some success early with Apex, like doing residential stuff, and enrolled that into it's my ability to like look like an idiot more than most people that I'm like okay with. I'm like, I look like an idiot.
How so? What do you mean? Explain that.
I had a employee who's now a former employee who like basically yelled at me in the one job because he's like, "Yo, why are you doing this shit?" And we were power washing like the inside of like Smoky Bones or something like that, and he was doing hot water power washing, which is totally different than roof cleaning. And I'm like, that's why you'll never be successful, because instead of looking like an idiot and learning something, he wanted to just do what he already knew. And I'm like, hey, that's fine. You could do what you want to do, but like, my goal is to learn more stuff, because you never know what's gonna make you more money in the future, or skills you'll develop in it. I mean, I learned to speak in public because I had to do PA live, or I had to do an interview for roof cleaning, and then the roof cleaning systems allow me to roll into the gym business because I already knew business stuff. There's no teacher like business for sure, and I just love the shit out of it. Really, it's just awesome. I just eat, breathe. It's a game, and I just play it all day long. I mean, how much fun is to play all day? I play all day.
So how do you learn? What do you do?
So like my first logo was so bad. Shout out to Dustin, my buddy, who has a successful like golf glove industry company, changing really cool stuff he's doing. He designed this logo for me. I was a broke college kid, and I'm like, Dustin, help me out. And he's like, yeah, sure. So he gives me a free logo, and it's exactly what you get with a free logo. It's terrible, dude, so bad. But now logo today is like so professional and so good, and you learn. You just learn by like looking at yourself, and like the one thing school did teach me was like reflection. Just like look at yourself in the mirror. If you suck, you suck. Well, why do you suck? Like, do you not practice? Like, I practice business. I listen to Rich Dad Poor Dad. I listen to the 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. I study books, and then there comes a point where I do think you have to stop reading. There's people who read and they keep reading, and they never do.
They never actually execute.
Never do. And I'm just like, let's go screw up, figure it out, and fix it. And that's just how I roll. And it's been so good. But I wanted to bring up a point there that I kind of touched on, was looking professional. So like having that professional logo, I looked back at my first logo. I'm like, that looks like garbage. Like Walmart would never hire that guy because they could tell you're a bum, like you don't know what you're doing. And I see so many like service business people, whether it's everyone knows a landscaper, everyone knows like a blacktop guy, not everyone knows a power washing, but you get my point. They know a service business, and they just look bad. Like, get a professional logo, like have a system, like the yard sign. So every job we do, the first thing the guy does when he gets out of the truck, puts a yard sign in the yard. You know why? Because the 4 neighbors then see the sign. You can't drive through an area without seeing our yard sign. Our truck is wrapped. It looks awesome. Why? Because they think we have 7 trucks on the road. We don't. You always want to, Alan Klein shout out, act global, think local. So like,
and you have to one up Alan, aren't you? That's why,
I do.
That's partially why you're back.
That is why I'm back. No, we have to. Like, you want to look like the company that would get hired by Walmart, but like you also treat the customers with total respect and like kindness, and give them the 100% service that they deserve. And it's just a good recipe for business.
Yeah. What's your favorite part about business?
Is the competition. Yeah. I just like enjoy.
You mentioned like before you said the game, like you play the game.
Yeah, the game. Yeah, it's just like I like working on myself, and like. Just same thing would be true for business. Like, there's always something. So I actually sold the residential side of Apex a couple years ago to build the gym. It was going to be really hard to do both. Like, the residential takes a lot of work, whereas commercial is more like autopilot type stuff. Like, get a big contract, go service it. Residential, you need 10 new customers or 20 new customers every week. So now that I have the residential back, I could develop more systems and more things in place. I could work on the business, and that's where a lot of people work in the business, and you have to pull yourself out to like look at it from an aerial view. And that's what I really like, the efficiency of like automations and making things better for the employees and for the customer.
So how do you do that? How do you get yourself from working in the business? Because I think that a lot of people
Sure.
feel like they're probably stuck in their business, right? How do you go from working in the business to working on the business? 'Cause I think that's a real
huge.
important.
You're right.
Yeah.
That's a huge step. I think it starts with trust. Like you have to be able to trust what you're doing, like see your future of like, okay, like if I do keep this up, like this is what's going to happen. And then part-time, like just go, even for starting your business, just go part-time. Like that's you brought up a good point. So many people make that mistake. They're like, I got to quit my job. I'm like, no, I burned the ships, but like it was like kind of stressful, but not really. Cause I lived with my parents. Like I was like 22.
When
like,
you first started.
Yeah.
All right. So take me through when you first started. Like how did you do all this?
So
You did a lot of shit.
I stole
You still
it.
do.
I stole it from Cutco knives. I used to sell Cutco knives in school, which by the way, I recommend anyone who's like younger get a job in sales because like being able to sell something is super important. You like no matter what you do, you're selling. Like I sold you today to get you back on the podcast.
You did.
Because my first one sucked so bad. Granted, it was through Wi-Fi. It wasn't in the stacks.
Spotty.
It was spotty.
Yeah, now you're in the real
Dude,
studio.
I had a booty call right in the middle of it. I mean,
Yeah.
so I can't help that. But
Yeah.
you know my point.
Yeah.
You gotta sell. You gotta be able to sell, and being able to sell is a huge value that you could eventually bring. You're gonna start a new business someday. You're gonna have to learn to sell or hire someone who can sell. But I took the Cutco book, literally the binder that they gave me, opened it up, and said, I'm gonna model my business after this binder. What's the first thing on the page when I open it up? Nice brick and mortar building, American flag. I'm like, what does that tell me? That they're in the United States, they're a real thing, and like they want the company culture, they want people, the customer to like them. That's why they put the American flag like in the photo. I'm like, okay, what's the next thing they did? They put like some items that they had, some flash, some stuff like do's and don'ts, why you would hire us for roof cleaning, why you wouldn't hire us for roof cleaning. And then by the end of it, they go to their big $3,000 knife, set. And at the very end of the book is like a $60 knife. It's like, they want you to buy that, big set, but they know you might not say no to the $3,000 set, but then you'll say no to the $2,000, then you'll say no to the $1,000, then like you're walking away with $800 knife set. That's the one they really want you to pick the whole time. But
so kind of starting at the top.
Price anchoring. It's a huge thing that no one knows about. Price anchor.
What is it?
It's just, it's not deception, but it somewhat is. Like, so if I said the number like 35 to you, like, is that a big number or a small number?
Not that big.
That's not that big. If I said it was tumors in your body, is it a big number or a small number?
That's
huge.
Yeah.
It's massive. Like,
that was loud.
It's a big deal. It should be loud. It's 35 tumors in your body.
Yeah.
Like, that's a big deal. But that's price anchoring. So like that number in your head, like it means something. And so when we go to a job, we always like people screw this up all the time. When you're pricing a job, like price it high and then show the customer like, okay, like this is what your roof cleaning would be if it was an absolute disaster. 3 stories covered in moss, a whole nightmare. Like this is what I have to charge you. But you're local. Like we're not driving 4 hours for the job. The roof's in okay condition. You're calling us a little bit early. It's only 2 stories. Like it's walkable. We could do this at a much more reasonable price. Here it is. And they're like, oh, great. Okay, perfect. I don't know how people screw that up, but anyway, let's go to Christmas lights. Christmas lights is wild. I think it's cool.
You brought me this the giant wreath. You set me up with a nice red bow tie, really large bow tie. I think I'm gonna keep it. It's a good look.
It's not
for
the
me.
largest, believe it or not.
No, you got bigger.
Yeah,
So,
we have bigger. We actually do the Scranton Chamber Building. They have an 8-foot wreath and there's a huge 4-foot bow. So like it takes like 4 guys in a truck to like get it up there. But so part of I think a really important part of business ownership and like you were saying, getting off the truck is like, so we go part-time, you bring up your employee, say, hey, I have an employee who could do 3 days a week. We do the 3 days a week thing. And you say, hey guys, we have some more work. You want to do, extra 2 days a week. Like they quit their other job or whatever they're doing. They come 5 days a week. So now that's how you get off. Like just bring them in part-time, get off the truck. And now you could go sell more, go develop systems. You could be more productive for your employees. One of my greatest fears as the business owner is that I won't have enough work for my person, like for any of my employees, and they have to go get laid off or go get a job somewhere. And like I hate that because I like them, I care for them, I want them to do well, and they show me the same respect back. Well, for power washing, in November it gets too cold here. Like the temperatures, the water freezes, we can't do it.
So then what? Yeah.
Well, yeah. Then my guys, or whoever works for us has to go leave, go find a new job, and vanish into the earth.
Then they might be great employees and they never come back.
Exactly. So I'm like, man, how do I
How do you
satisfy
keep
their
those
needs?
people?
Exactly.
Yeah.
How do I keep their needs? And I was at a power washing conference, and my buddy John was like, dude, you gotta do Christmas lights. I'm like, Christmas lights? He's like, yes. I'm like, no one's gonna pay for me to put up their Christmas lights. So
You'd be surprised.
You'd be surprised. So I like literally last year was like our second year back doing Christmas lights. I sold it with the residential side. We did $100,000 of Christmas lights from like November 1st to December 12th.
In your first year?
Or
second year?
Second year. Yeah. It's insane. I'm like, people will pay you to put up their Christmas lights. I'm like, you have no idea. But once again, the systems are set up. If you go to our website, it is total high end. People who like make a certain amount of money. They're like, I am not screwing around with Christmas lights. My wife wants the house decorated, but I don't got time for it. Like, here you go. And we literally advertise. I tell them right on the phone, it's a white glove service. You don't do anything but tell us. The hardest part is you telling us what color lights you want. That's it. You want multicolor, red, white, green pattern. You want just your traditional warm white. We'll make it happen for you.
Or 30,000 foot bow.
You want a big bow? Yeah. Well, we don't do any blow up stuff. That's kind of lame. Like we're like, luxury.
Yeah.
And, that's it. So we buy all the materials, put up all the lights, service it. So throughout the season, up until about the 7th of January, like if any lights go out, we come back out, fix it for them, and then take everything down, store it at our facility, and bring it back out the next year. So it reoccurs. It's Christmas. Comes every year. It's like literally the coolest business ever. And just all because my buddy I said yes to opportunity. Like that's where people make mistakes.
I think that's big.
You have to. You gotta say yes. Bill, you want to go on the podcast? Yeah, let's go on the podcast. I don't know where it's gonna take me. I have no idea. You don't know where it's gonna take you either.
Yeah, you never know.
You never know. But I do know if I said no, I ain't going anywhere.
Yeah.
So
right.
It's a.
I love that. I love that outlook.
Have to. Yeah.
Yeah. Alan said the same thing.
Did he?
He did. Yeah.
I hang out with Alan.
Yeah. I know. I could tell.
He's a good guy. But where it's taking me. So I had the roof cleaning business, and like it was doing really well. Like I could have been like semi-retired, like because the systems were in place. The phone would ring. Like the person in the office would get the phone call, send it out to the person, do the sale would come in, get scheduled, guys would do the work, check goes to the bank. Like that's good business, like automated to the maximum. And I was like, I'm bored. So there was no gym in Mountaintop. It was pissing me off. Like I do a lot of business, I get pissed off. I'm like, I couldn't look at any more roofs. Like, wait till people hear this podcast. They're gonna be driving their car. I've hit mailboxes before. I'm just looking at roofs, and they're so dirty. They're filthy. They're gross. Yeah, it literally happens. And it's like buying a new car. You keep seeing that car. So there was a gym, and it failed. Like they didn't do things right. They had bad systems and bad things set up. So I convinced my dad to like let me to help out and like build a gym, meaning like we own this land together in Mountaintop. I'm like, I think we could build a gym there. Like we could do it. We had no idea what we were doing. I thought we were going to build the gym in like a year. It took me 1 full year just to get the loan. And like I get this loan today. My buddies in banking are like, dude, you did like Jesus Christ work right there. Like you got a loan for a gym, which is like the second highest risk to restaurants, and a new construction. Like that doesn't happen, and you have no experience in either of them.
Yeah,
like,
I was
saying, I clean roofs. Like what I know about building gyms? I mean, nothing. The only thing I actually had was like, I worked out. I liked working out. I work out like every day. It's just like me. It's my mental focus. I do it for. I just feel good, about my day when I work out. And sure, the aesthetics portion is, looking good is also a bonus. But like for the mind, it's my ability to think in the gym, and. So I convinced my dad, my brother, to help build this gym. He actually dropped out of Temple, my brother Kevin, to do it, and like best decision he's ever made. And we started building a gym. We were talking before about babies. I told you I was like, we were putting the boards up and nailing stuff, and that is not my strong suit. Bad construction guy. Like, give me the business, let me look at the systems and do that. And we put the gym Mountaintop.
So your brother was like the hands-on construction guy, and you were like the business marketing end.
Yeah. So we basically were working like 16-hour days for like the gym took like 3 years, like 2 whole years longer than we thought.
So you thought it was going to take 1, right?
Yeah,
and it took you 3.
I'm like, did you ever watch those guys like build buildings? Like they're up in like 6 months. It feels like.
Yeah.
Well, when it's a full team of union construction workers who know what they're doing, we had no idea. So once again, no idea what I was doing. I had no construction experience, no gym experience, but I just knew business experience was like take care of the customer, put the customer first. What does the customer want, right? Does Mountaintop want like this big meathead like powerlifting gym? No, like not at all. Funny story. The gym's kind of modeled around King's College, which by the way, I worked out at King's College for like, I think 5 years now. not anymore, formerly 5 years. I never went to King's College. I would sneak in the front door, say hello to the security guard, and walk into the gym. I did that for 5 years. And then literally the one time this kid didn't re-rack his weights, and like it pissed me off. So I walked out of the gym, of King's gym, and was like, yo, get back here and clean up your shit. And the security guard like laughed at me. It came to the point where they actually gave me a key to like my own locker there. I'm not a King's graduate student. I'm a King's student. Nothing. But hilarious. But that experience taught me how you sneak into a gym. So now I'm building a gym that's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I have to now develop the system because I'm the good thief. I'm the good cop. I know how to prevent people from sneaking into the gym. And truthfully, if King's ever sold me a membership, if they ever called me and said, hey, you want to buy a membership? I'm like, yeah, let's go. I'll just join King's gym. And never got caught. So, actually, I went there over like one of their breaks, and it was like November, so like Thanksgiving, no one was there. I was the only person in the gym. Literally, I would put my own like U-boom, put my music on. I was getting a pump on, and the security guard walks in. I'm by myself. I'm like, oh shit. I'm like,
busted.
I'm busted. Do I own a gym mountain? I'm still down at King's right now. Like I was just going back for old time's sake, right? And I didn't even need to be there. I'm busted. So he walks in. I'm like, this is how it's going to go down. I'm like, what do you want to listen to? He's like, whatever. I'll just come work out with you. And I finished my workout with the dude and left. I never went back. So it was, but I modeled it after King's, like some of the layout that we did, the big open concept. The guys at fitness headquarters, of course, laughed at me when I said I wanted to build a gym because they're like, yeah, right. Like, so 13 other people like wanted, like, dude, everyone wanted to put a gym mountaintop, like everybody. But I did it because I was like, no for an answer. Like if someone gave me a no, I'm like, hell no. Like before we were about to like open the gym, the bank's like, yo, you need $30,000 to be able to do this. I'm like, I'm opening a business because I have no money. Like, what do you mean? Like that's why people do this.
Yeah.
So I had to like borrow some money for a person.
Scrounge up 30 grand.
Yeah. Call up the loan sharks. I get 30 grand. Like, and we did it. And they're like, shit. Like the bank didn't want to do the deal.
Yeah.
They were trying to.
They couldn't tell you no at this point.
They were trying to roadblock me everywhere they could. And so we made it happen. And Mountaintop had some success. It brought a lot of value to the community. People like the gym. They enjoy the environment. Like we're just crushing it. And like people in other areas are like asking us for put them in because they know their friends at Mountaintop. So we put one in Taylor. Opened it like last year, like midway through January, and then like COVID hit. It was like the worst time to open a gym in the history of the world.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
So we were open for 1 full month, and then COVID hits, and I was like, well, either one of the lessons in business they tell you is you fail fast and fail cheap. So like the cheapest thing for me to fail would have been fail in 3 months. If Taylor wasn't going to work out, I was going to figure it out. Like I was nervous. I had no idea if Taylor was going to work out. I knew Mountaintop was going to work out. Like everyone we talked to said Mountaintop was going to be successful, which there was one and it failed. So maybe that's not the case. You have to know what you're doing and, or learn, at least be open to learn. And, we put Taylor in and COVID hits. And I'm like, well, Kevin, like we got some choices here. If it's not going to work out, let's just fail and get out of there. And we'll fail cheap. If I had to pay rent for the next 5 years, that'd been like $500 grand. Like that's way too much. I'd rather pay for 3 months, blame COVID, and get out. So we opened during the governor shutdown. I thought what the government was doing was wrong. Like I think people should have the choice to participate in activities they'd like to. I'm kind of a libertarian type person in that. Like I think all drugs should be legal, and if you want to do them, do them. If you don't want to do them, don't go near them. But the same thing for the gym. Like they're just going to work out. Like let these people go. And sure enough, it like turned into like, they thought that I was just like supreme riot maker, trying to take down the government. I wasn't. I was just trying to get some free press for the gym.
Yeah, you ended up on CNN.
Yes, we ended up on like, dude, ABC or like the local news. Like they were at like at one of the gyms like every night of the week for like a month and a half. But I got 4 citations from the Taylor police. I posted to Facebook, got 100,000 likes. Like Beaver Stadium saw our Facebook page. I'm like, Kevin, we're kicking ass. Like this is exactly what we wanted. Like either we're going down with the ship or like we're sailing into the sunset. So we're sailing into the sunset right now. And then CNN called up, and like the best part was like how I duped CNN. So I had the cleaning business. So I had all this stuff for cleaning, backpack sprayers. We had the hazmat suits. My brother Kevin had the mask for paint spraying in the gym. So we staged these photos. So we were cleaning the gym. So like the win, always put yourself in a win-win situation. we were sanitizing the gym. So anyone who's coming to the gym, we had a chemical spray that I do from powerlifting that would kill COVID. So we had it. We were spraying the whole gym now. But at the same time, we called our friend who was a photographer and we're like, dude, come get these photos. So the photos that ABC, CNN, all of them shared were me and my brother dressed up in these suits to make it look like a professional hazmat. Like you thought E.T. was coming like back to Earth, like in these photos.
Yeah, at the gym.
Yeah, the gym. And someone brought up a really good point. They're like, is that safe for the members? And I'm like, it's just because we're spraying it. That's why we have to wear them. Everyone else, it's totally fine. Like he called us out. It was totally right. So when we were on CNN, they flashed those photos of us dressed up as
hazmat guys.
Hazmat guys. But it comes back to the whole point of like act bigger than you are. Like don't focus your business on like this small person, this small company. Like promote it to be bigger. Like I hate when people do it on Instagram. That's like the worst. When someone's like flaunting. Like I can't stand that. But like in business, like you kind of have to do it so other people like will play games with you. It's like once again competition. If you look like a scrub, is anyone gonna ask you to play in the big leagues? Like no, you're gonna be.
No one's gonna ask you to play pickleball with them.
No one is. You're a junior varsity player all day long. But you show up with your pickleball shoes and your headband, your pickleball racket. They're like, let's play ball.
So what's up with the pickleball? By the way, you got to share the pickleball story because before we came on the podcast, Danny was talking about pickleball. I don't even know how or why it came up, but
I don't know why it came up either.
I don't know either.
I told you I was at the township meeting. They asked me to talk to get the pickleball courts. So yeah, pickleball, really fun upcoming like sport. Business can be stressful for sure. I mean, but it's like a good stress in my opinion. But one of my like releases I like to play. Like I'll try to play golf or a pickleball, softball, whatever I can play. I need that hour to like detach from my phone and like enjoy my own space. And the best way for me is playing. I think more adults should play. Like who grows up and like stops playing? Like that's so wrong. And I don't really get into gaming or like video games. I used to be a video game player, but just nice like social sports hour or whatever it is. You pick up a racket. So pickleball is like this huge up and coming. One of the best reasons to be in northeastern Pennsylvania is that everything comes here 3 to 5 years later. So pickleball is huge. Like Florida, like California is just like steamroll.
So they've been playing pickleball for 3 or 4 years.
If not 10. But yeah, exactly. So same thing for roof cleaning. Roof cleaning, they've been cleaning roofs in Florida for like 25 years now. I was the first person to bring it to the area because no one else did it. Christmas lights, same thing. They're doing all these other places. I'm like, wow, no one's doing it here. Perfect. I'll do it. So we do Christmas lights. Same thing for pickleball. It's played everywhere else. Literally, California is steamrolling tennis courts and making them pickleball courts because you could fit like 3 in the size of a tennis court. Florida, same thing. Like the average pickleball player is like 65. They play all over Florida. Pennsylvania, like I don't even know where any of them are besides like the one in Rice Township we just got in Mountaintop like 2 years ago or last year, whatever it was. And yeah, super nice, super fun sport to literally you could grab a buddy and just like start playing. It's a good sport for someone to learn, and like it only takes one other person to play with. Like one of the things in school we try to teach is like lifelong activities. Like what can you do? You play high school football, you need 22 guys or 50 guys to play a game of football with. Like it doesn't work for the rest of your life. So playing something like a pickleball is super fun.
Yeah. So what's happening in Mountaintop with pickleball? What's tell the story when you went to the
I went to the township meeting and someone asked me to come and speak because I like to sell shit. So I'm like, yo.
So you're going there to sell the township on pickleball.
Exactly. Yeah. My buddy, shout out McDonough, he raised $3,000. The dude on Amazon who sells the pickleball paddles, like McDonough reached out to him and he's like, yeah, here's $3,000. Like go put your cord in. Like no questions asked. Just wrote a check for $3,000. Apparently Amazon has good business. I don't know. But this guy selling these paddles.
The equipment for
and
he just wrote a check for $3,000 and said,
yep. Didn't want any write-offs, nothing, donations, 0. So
wow.
Yeah, it was wild. Dude, the letter showed up and we're like, is this a scam? And like I have all these state
is this a real
troopers
guy?
like looking at it because they think we're like, I'm like, are we getting ripped off here? And no, it's a nice letter from Ping. Ping was like, yo, just go put a cord in. So I gave the money to the township, and I'm a business guy because I like to control things and how fast they go. The government works so slow. Local government is probably even worse. They're like want to take 3 or 4 years to put the cord in. I'm like, the average age of the pickleball player is 65. They're gonna be dead by the time you guys finish these courts. Like, they have a huge ice rink in Mountaintop that no one uses. It looks like trash. I say this to them in the meeting. I said, look, I played ice hockey. it's not conducive for ice hockey. It doesn't work. Our climate is not cold enough. There's no roof on it. Forget about it. Street hockey brings riffraff. I was fighting kids with Nanacoke when I played in the league. Doesn't work out.
Like, I was fighting kids.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah, seriously. I got work in the morning. I can't fight this guy. Like, I don't do it. So put in pickleball.
Good advice. Don't do it.
It's a family-oriented game. Like, you could pick up and play anytime. The problem at Rice right now is like the pickleball courts are slammed. Like, you can't even get out on them because like there's like a private like underground text group of like, yo, I'm going over at 11. Like, don't come because me and my homies are playing pickleball, and they're like 85. But it's the truth. You go over there and like you show up and you can't get on. You're like, oh, this stinks. Like, what am I gonna do? So Wright Township is now putting pickleball courts in.
More.
Yeah, well, Rice had them.
Oh, okay,
Wright,
yeah,
Wright,
okay, yeah.
Right, the biggest township in Mountaintop finally is adopting. They're like, okay, pickleball, yeah, let's do it. So I'm standing in front of like the 9 like people on the board, and I'm like, how much does it cost you to like just paint lines? Like, how much does it cost the township to paint these lines? Because my understanding that we already raised all the money, and they were just like dead silent, like, okay, you got us. So they're putting some courts in, hopefully, soon.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, so that was a good sales story. But you're also in the service business. You got any good service?
Yeah,
stories?
everyone knows a person in the service world, like the service industry, or like that's an easy one for them to start up. So a lot of times people are like, hey, I'm thinking about like starting this business. 9 times out of 10, it's a service business. The reason being is it's usually like cost effective to get into them. Like to buy inventory and sell like golf gloves on Amazon would be like super expensive. Service business, you just need. I started with $7,000 and a truck. That's all I had, and rolled it into gyms. Because you can scale, you can grow. Marketing, like what service businesses need, is the yard sign. One of my biggest pet peeves in the service business.
Yeah, I think you just posted about this on Facebook not long ago. I think I saw
yard sign and branding. It drives me insane. So like, give me your logo. The logo needs to be unique. Like, it needs to be something that has like a shtick. Like, it's got to be catchy. It can't be forgettable. Like, and it just happens all the time. You'll drive past the place and like, I can't name a business right now because I already forgot it. Like, it's a terrible name. Corcoran Printing is good. You know why? Corcoran. It has that tangible feel, touch. I can touch Corcoran. I can see it. Paper products printing. I'll forget it by the time I drive home or like turn on the street. Unique name. Like, here's a really good example. I see it all the time. Affordable lawn care. No, I don't like. Don't do it. I will. Like, so Kringle lights is our Christmas lights business. Like, people like they refer to us as Kringle lights all the time. Like, they're like, I want the Kringle lights. Like, it's almost like we're like Band-Aid. Like, we created a brand.
You
of
did.
lights.
Yeah, that's what that is. Yeah,
that's like important. Like Apex. Like, they would say Apex. Like, we're not just like affordable roof cleaning, because no one would be like, oh yeah, call affordable. Like, they don't do that. Like, it has to have that stick to it. I will. Actually, we're talking about competition. I was super pissed. So at the time, I was starting the gym Mountaintop. Like, we were building it. I was just about to like break the ground. I spent like $100,000 on like engineering, and we were about to like put the shovel in the dirt
for like those fake photos. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. We didn't do any of that. Like, we were just on time for it. But yeah,
but that
I found I was about to like do that. I was actually at a shout out wilkes-barre Chamber Commerce presentation, and the dude Chris Hackett, super like smart entrepreneurial dude, awesome dude. If you ever get a chance to get him on here, Chris Hackett's the man. He owns I2M up at the Crestwood Industrial Park, and he was doing this presentation, and we just hit it off. My entrepreneur, I was asking good questions, and he kind of recognized that. So I went up to him afterwards and was like, "Hey, like, just to let you know, I own this land in the Mountaintop. Like, your business is Mountaintop. Like, we can hang out. Like, I'm building a gym." He like takes 2 steps back from me, and I will say, like, when it comes to construction, I'm an idiot. When it comes to reading people, I'm like a wizard. I pick up he takes 2 steps back. I'm like, oh shit, like what just happened there? Something's wrong. And he like short circuits, and he's like, I own a building, and some guy just signed a lease to put a gym in Mountaintop. I'm like, oh shit, like this is. Wasn't expecting to find this news out. He's like, give me your email, because like I don't think Mountaintop's big enough for 2 gyms. I'm like, this town ain't big enough for 2 of us, right? Like, ain't gonna happen. So I email him, and I'm like, yo, Chris, I spent $100,000 already. I'm going forward. Like, I'm building the gym. That dude's just renting some space. He hasn't done anything yet. Like, so you could give him a heads up. Like, I'm coming to town. If he wants to bail out, he can. So Chris is like, yo, like he's going forward with it. I'm like, all right, giddy up.
Game on.
And game on. See?
Giddy up.
Game on. And that competition just makes you so much better. So at night when I'm, trying to go to sleep, I'm like, that guy's out there. Like he's thinking about me and he's thinking about what I'm trying to do. And yes and no. You don't ever want to get caught up in your competition. A lot of people make that mistake of like worrying about them. Like I didn't worry about that guy one bit, but I just worried about making me better. So when a customer walks in my door, what value are they going to gain? Like, where is it? It was a $25 gym membership. They're like, dude, it's the most valuable thing. It's $1 a day. Like, you can't get more valuable than that. You could argue Planet Fitness. I'm like, yeah, but it's like 20 minutes away. It will cost you more to drive up and down the mountain in gas than it would be to just go to our gym. And like, yeah, we don't want to go to Planet Fitness anyway. But my point is, this guy named his business EK. I'm like, it was just his initials. And I'm like, dude, did you think about it for like, no one even knows what EK is. It would have been much better to have his last name like people do and have that as like a stick. But like, what is EK? Like, I don't even know what that means. Like, I took it upon myself to ask the Mountaintop community. I involved the community in the naming of my gym. Like, I put it to Facebook and I had like 400 people commenting like Peak Fitness, Mountaintop Fitness. Like, they were going after it. I was creating this buzz before the gym was even there. Like, that's game. And this guy just named it EK. I'm like, you pissed me off. Like, what kind of competition is that? Like, what do you think about that for 3 seconds? And like that, I went on like 4 tangents there. I forgot where my original one was, but that pissed me off. Oh,
yeah, competition. Yeah, just competition.
The yard signs. So,
yeah.
So one of the things that drives me nuts about service business is they don't
position themselves.
So call Corcoran Printing up, get yard signs.
Yeah,
like sell yard signs to the people who have service businesses, because after you do the service, you have to duplicate the effort. So, and that people think like they did the job and it stops there. It's like, no. So we clean the roof. As soon as we're done, before we clean the roof, yard sign goes in. They know when they leave, the yard sign's still there. Could be a day, could be 5, it could be 10 days. I mean, I still drive past yard signs. They're 3 months later. I'm like, perfect. Because guess what? Everyone in that area is our customer. Most likely, if you're going to an area, the people around you are also your customer. So after the job's done, they take a brochure or a pamphlet. They go to 5 houses to the left, 5 to the right, 5 across the street, and give them all a pamphlet. So now the customers, they're walking their dog. Guess what? They saw our truck in the driveway. They saw the yard sign. They got a pamphlet. And as soon as they go to Facebook, Google, or whatever, boom, they see our advertising. They're like, you guys are everywhere. Like, they think, some of these people think I have like chips in their brain because they're like, I've actually.
They're always thinking about you.
They're always thinking about. I had a lady. We sent a postcard. I think you guys made them for us, and she's like, "It was like a sign from God." I'm like, "That's right." Like,
Damn right.
It was. It was really just me, just being understanding how you have to market effectively and actually market. Like, I don't know what these people's strategies are. Like, no yard sign. I'm like, how does anyone know you're even there? They don't. That's why you don't get called and no one does any business with you. Hey, so hopefully someone listening to say, if you're starting a service business, make it look professional, get a professional logo. Please put a yard sign when you're done.
Yeah. One other thing, like you kind of mentioned earlier, is like mistakes and failures and things that maybe other mistakes. Is there any other mistakes? Yeah, it seems like you're okay with sharing some of that stuff, and that's how you said you learned the best. I mean, is there anything else that you've done along the way that didn't work for you, that you maybe found out a better way to do something?
Yeah, so you brought up 2 good points there. I think the first reason that people don't have yard signs is because they're not open to the idea they can make mistakes. As the business owner, I'm totally okay with me making mistakes. I just accept that I make them. To the point of your question, do I have a story about making mistakes? Most likely, I don't have any right now currently, because I make so many that they don't even register. Like, that's my ADD superpower. Like, people who make mistakes dwell on mistakes. So like, shit, I messed that up. And they get stuck in this realm of like dwelling.
Yeah, I can't get past it.
I can't get past that, which we didn't talk about anxiety yet. Yes.
Oh, here we go. That's coming up next.
Exactly. So this is why, like, the reason that I don't get stuck in that. So my anxiety, like in college, I was a perfectly normal person. And then one day I just got hit by the anxiety panic attack bus. And when I tell you
what happened,
dude, I was in the classroom and all of a sudden I just did not feel good whatsoever. I sit in the back, I hang out back there, and I'm like, I got to get out of here. Part of my anxiety is like, oh man, I have to like walk through the aisle. All everyone's going to see me. What the hell's wrong?
Yeah. Awkward.
Yeah. Awkward.
Trip.
So, dude, I go to the bathroom, like my stomach is not feeling well at all. I like get outside, like it's fresh air. I call my mom. I'm like, I feel like I'm gonna pass out. Is that normal? She's like, yeah. I'm like, what? Like that was not the answer I was expecting. She's like, your cousin Erica passed out in school. Like your cousin Bethan passed out. Like it happens. I'm like, no, I don't feel good at all. Like I think I'm dying. Like I genuinely think I'm dying. So I go to the like infirmary at the school and I'm like laying there shivering, like by myself, lonely. I'm like, I'm dead. This is it. It's over. I'm dying. And
I'm dying.
The doctor was like, I think you have anxiety. I'm like, I don't know what that means. Like, what do you have anxiety? And that was it. And luckily it was like towards the end of the, that's a really funny story. At the end of the semester, I was just like, I was out of it. I was dead. Like I couldn't recover from my anxiety. Like the bus hit me and I couldn't go to the class. People, I've started to learn it's a little bit of a situational anxiety. So that like you get on a plane, situational. You get on a train, situational. I didn't know what mine was for a long time, or I didn't know it was anxiety. So when you have anxiety, if you look up the symptoms, like they're equivalent to dying. So like your heart rate's through the roof, your heart rate's in the ground. Like you're passing out, you're awake, you're so alert that you're almost nuts. Like I was like almost hearing voices. I was crazy. And my mom like gave me an anxiety after going through tests. Like I was
gonna say, did you go for any professional help?
Halter monitors. Like yeah, they look at your heart rate. So the good news is after your panic attack, you go to the hospital and they're like, you're not dying. I'm like, okay. Like you get your oil checked and they're like, you're good to go. You know, like everything. We checked your blinkers. Like everything works fine.
Brake lights are good.
Brake lights are good. Yep. Wipers are working. Like you're not dying. I'm like, okay, like that's a relief, but I still feel like I'm dying. And like one of the symptoms is like you think you're crazy. You can't control your thoughts anymore, and you can't describe that to a person. But I remember, like, thankfully, this is so great. I love being fully open and candid with like shit, and this is what's important. I was at the dorm in East Stroudsburg, and there was like a toilet and a sink in the same stall. Thank God. So I'm like literally like shitting my pants. I'm just like having my stomach is in like if someone hit me with a baseball bat. At the same time, I'm throwing up in the sink. All anxiety based. Like my brain was just like screwing up my stomach. Like my stomach. A lot of people have stomach problems. It's not my stomach. It was my brain causing my stomach problems. And I did get medication. I took some like Xanax equivalent and like a Prozac like type Zoloft medication. I took that for a few years and it allowed me to like get through some anxiety. I couldn't go to a classroom. I think I tried to go to a class. I literally like threw up in the toilet before I go into the class. I sat there. Dude, I still want to know who was there that day. I rocked back and forth in my seat for 45 minutes, rubbing my head. I'm like, that person probably thought I was out of my mind.
Yeah.
Dude, I was too nervous to get up in front of the whole classroom and walk out. I was petrified. So I sat there in torture for 45 minutes of class. And finally I left. Yeah. This, my panic, I went home basically early from the semester because I couldn't basically go back to class. Luckily there was like, it was like finals time. There was like 7 days of like bullshit left, but that was it. I just went finals. Well, I missed my one final because I was in the infirmary, and or I couldn't. I wasn't. I called the guy's landline, and he didn't answer. He didn't have a voicemail, so I didn't leave one, and I missed his final. But I looked at the sheet, and like his final was available like 2 days later, like for the same class, just a different classroom, like different set of kids. So like, I show up to the class, and this dude's like, well, "What are you doing here?" He's like probably 65, like old professor. I'm like, coming to take the final. And he's like, your final was on Monday. I'm like, yeah, I was sick. Like I couldn't make it. Like, I'm coming to take it today. I'm like, is there it's the same class. Like, what's the difference? He's like, no, this is how this works. Like you didn't email me, you didn't call me, you didn't tell me that you weren't going to be here. I'm like,
called your landline, bro.
Yeah, I called your landline, dude. Like I'm coming to take this final. So like all my buddies are like sitting there like in the back of the classroom and people who I know. And I'm like, is it the same test? He's like, yeah. Like, I'm like, well, why can't I take the final? He's like, you're not taking it. I said, have a Merry Christmas. And I walked out the door and my friends were like, that was the ballsiest thing we've ever seen someone do to a professor. So this dick made me drive back from East Stroudsburg, like back home, like after the semester was over to come retake this final privately. And I'm like, shit. I'm like, if I did my math right, I wouldn't even have to drive back because either way I was getting a B. Like if I failed the final or got it 100, I was still getting a B. I should have told him like F you and like not came back for it. But that anxiety that I developed like taught me it's okay just like to basically shit your pants in public and pass out. Like that's the greatest fear of everyone's life. Just like get, someone find you like with, completely incapacitated just on the floor. And I was okay with it. So now anything I did in business or life or whatever, I have like absolutely zero fear on my radar because like I experienced the worst. I know what it's like to die. And I tell people like I felt that feeling like 100 times. Like every time I had a panic attack, I thought I was dying. And for like 3 years of my life, I thought I was dying. And truly, I didn't get over I should say over. It's always going to be a part of who I am is the anxiety. But like,
yeah, but how did you get mostly past it? And
so with proper medication, strongly recommend a proper medication. Wean myself off the Xanax. I didn't want to be like that person on Xanax. Like that freaked me out. Like I didn't want to be on any medications. And I've talked to people who have anxiety, and like that's like the catch-22. The people with anxiety don't want to be on medication because they have anxiety. They're like, I don't want to take pills. I don't want to take medicine. Like I'm like, I get it. I was that person. But like when you have as bad as anxiety as I did, and not depression, but like panic, like you need to take something. Like you have to function. Exactly. I had to take something to go to the classroom. That's how bad it was. Like, dude, you could put me on like a 500-foot cliff and tell me to jump off and I'd feel great. Like the adrenaline rush is fun. But you put me in a classroom or like I couldn't go to the restaurant or like the cafeteria. I love the cafeteria. I would go to the cafeteria all the time. Actually, people thought I was like a serial killer. I would go like by myself to the cafeteria and be like, dude, only psychopaths do that. And I'm like, no, I got goals and plans. Like I want to eat this much. Like I want to lift some weights. Like I need to eat. And like no one's available to go with me. I'm going anyway. I don't care what people think about me. So I would put the spoon in my mouth and literally straight metallic, like that copper taste in your mouth. It would be my anxiety going right through my chest. And I'd have to leave. If you gave me $1 million to sit in the cafeteria, I couldn't do it.
Wow.
Yeah, I couldn't. So proper medication, certain instances still trigger things. So like a train, I was on a train a couple years ago and I was like, oh boy, I had to lay on my wife's lap in the middle of the train. I had to do it. I'm like, I don't care if I look like an idiot. I can't stand up because my blood pressure is so low. There's no blood in my brain anymore. I have to lay down in order to get through this train ride. And, so now I just use it situational, which is how those drugs are actually designed. Vacation, right? Like a vacation's coming up. I get anxious about vacation. Like I'm the opposite. That's what I meant by we opened the podcast up with, I think people before the Industrial Revolution were meant to be business owners. They were meant to.
We're coming full circle here.
We're
with this
full circle
with this entrepreneurship stuff.
We were if you're listening to this, you were meant to have a craft. Like, and you were meant to either cobble shoes or make swords or armor or farm. Like, that's what we were designed to do. And I didn't truly get out of my anxiety and my panic until I started business. Because now my brain is on the business and like enjoying the game and the process versus sitting in a classroom. Like, I had to take a test for coaching my kids' soccer. It was the worst time of my life. I mean, I had to watch like a 7-minute video and answer something on concussions. And I thought I was like, I can't do this. I haven't taken a test or wrote a paper in like 15 years.
But you can run successful businesses.
I could start another business tomorrow. I was like, maybe I'll write a book. Like, because like it just feels natural. And I think that we're, as humans and being industrialized, we're like fighting that natural urge to start business and to like add value to society through your business. And yeah, full circle. My anxiety and depression or like panic attack has gone away pretty much for the most part. I don't take any medication anymore. Like I'm good. If you asked me if I had any problems, I'd be like, no, I'm fine. If I was getting on a train, damn right, I'm taking a Xanax. Like I just have to because that environment stresses me. It not stresses me out. Just I short circuit. It's like motion sickness. Like I can't help it. I get motion sickness. You put me on like a swing, I'm gonna throw up.
Just the way it is.
Just the way it is. That's who I am. And like part of business, understanding who you are and just own it. I'm like, it's me.
Just being self-aware.
Being self-aware. Yeah, for sure. That comes around like I think the more successful you can be in business, it comes down to your ability to be self-aware and to read people. It's like, why is my business having problems or why is it having issues? And a lot of people will be the first to blame their employee. I'll be the first to blame me. I'm like, this isn't, my manager was having an issue and I'm like, don't blame that person for why this is going wrong. This is going wrong because you didn't train them right. And you didn't train them right because I screwed up. but it always comes back to the person at the top. And like when you have that, I always say the king of accountability. Like you won't find a person who's more accountable than I am. Like I have no problem, and actually we didn't even get to talk about it, but the struggle with entrepreneurship is actually relationships. Like the stress my wife has to endure because I'm a freak. Like my ability to just like do business and like almost blank her out of my head for the day. Like not many people can do that. Like your wife's at home with the kid right now. Like you can't be thinking about the kid. You're doing a podcast. And I'm like, Lindsay, when I'm in the game, when I'm in business, when I'm in the mode, like, I can't answer a text back, or I don't give the response that she wants. And like, cause her brain's not in that she's not playing the game. Like she's in her life and doing her thing. And, so that's a big part of like getting on the same page and like trying to help the spouse. You may be able to relate to that. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like
totally.
Gotta be on the same page. You gotta have like we know where our goals are and what we want to do together and like where we want to be. And so that's super important, is like the vision and being able to see where you want to go. And sometimes it could be like my birthday and she's like, what do you want to do today? I'm like, work. Like that's why I'm weird.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Okay.
I am.
So you understand.
Yeah. I don't like, this is just what I want to do.
It's what I want to do.
And I think one other thing too is that like people criticize people like you and I for wanting to either work or build a business or build a brand, while other people think like, oh no, you should be on vacation, or you should be just not working, or you should take the time off. Like I think it's like totally okay for business to be a hobby.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah, for sure. I want to go back to what I said, because I think this is really important with business. You have to have thick skin. Like you're saying, the people will criticize. I don't even know who those people are. I don't even care. Like you have opinions, doesn't matter to me. Now, my employees, my customers, my members, like I will value everyone's opinion, but like the person on the outside looking in, see you later. Like, don't even, not even registered in my. You know how it is. You have this much. You have a limited amount of space to deal with in a day, like in your brain. Only a certain amount can come in there. There's no room for letting outside voices to like come in.
Just can't do it.
Don't have time. It's just flat out like zero. Or I mean, if you do, your business is never gonna get off the ground. Oh my! This is a great example. Shout out to my mom. Love you, Mom. My mom did not want us to build a gym at all. She's like, what if someone slips and falls? I'm like, then they get hurt. Like, that's the answer. That's it. They get hurt. But like, she's like,
I think there's insurance for that.
Exactly. There's insurance for that. But she's like, but they're going to sue you and this and that and that. Like, when we opened during COVID and defied the governor's order, she thought I was going to jail. But like, I get it. Like,
she's your mom.
She's your mom. Like, you have to, like, once again, self-awareness, understanding. I'm like, she's my mom. She cares for me. She wants me not to go to jail. And me and my brother are like, if we go for a night, whatever, we go to jail. Like, who cares? Like, it's not a big deal. I'll be back. But because that's just how we go. But as mom, she's controlling of my safety and looking out for me, and respect that. But if I listen to my mom, would I have a gym?
Where would you be?
Nowhere. I'd be a teacher. Sorry, there's nothing wrong with teachers.
Yeah,
you know, hey, teacher's cool. I mean, that was my first love was gym teacher, because I could.
Yeah, but you'd just be doing something safe.
I would be doing something. I would probably have a 401k, a safe job, and like, you know, a fence. I don't know, but you get my point.
Yeah, white picket fence. Yeah,
white picket fence. Yeah. So haven't got it yet.
Yeah.
But.
So before we wrap up,
sure.
Best entrepreneurial advice. What would you suggest?
You just gotta commit first. I mean, that's really figure it out. Like, say you're gonna do it. Don't tell anybody you're gonna do it until you're ready. Then you could tell people. I won't tell anybody I'm doing something until like it's a go.
Until you're doing it.
Yeah, until you're doing it. Like, no one likes the person who like says, "Oh, we're doing this today, that today." Like, they change, like what their opinion like every 3 seconds. Like, that's annoying. I don't tell someone I'm building a business till like it's getting built. Like, take your time, think of the brand, and do it at your job. Like, most people who work jobs like have time, like they have free time to work on things. But you're fully capable. Like, why am I special? I'm not. What I have blood and oxygen. Like, I don't know. I do things. I have a support network. Like, that's super important. I mean, I know in the heart of hearts, if it doesn't work out, I could call my parents up and they'll like let me sleep on the couch. Like, I could move in with them. Like, if I have to, actually.
And you got to be okay with that.
I am perfectly okay with that.
Yeah.
Can I give you a quick story?
Yeah, go ahead.
What really started not my entrepreneurial, but my like development of finances was I was 13 and my dad quit his job. He's like, just couldn't take it anymore. Probably back to what I said originally about us not being, we need to be business owners. So he quit and like was trying to like invest in the stock market, do some day trading. So he was actually worse, quit his job and then losing our family buddy because he was just terrible in the stock market, and just like trying to play the game, stonks baby. But so Dogecoin.
I'm starting on the stonks.
Oh, on the stonks, perfect.
Yeah,
well, So we went down from a dual family income to a single family income. We just had my mom's income, which she made good money and she had her own business kind of thing. She was a partner in, and like that was cool. But like shit got real tight, like to the point where I shared this a while ago. We'd go to McDonald's on Sunday because on Sundays it was 40-cent cheeseburgers. So like we had a big family. I was 4 of us and then my parents and the dogs too. I think they ate McDonald's. So like 40-cent cheeseburgers, we'd max it out. Like how many could we get? And we get like 12. They'd only limit to 12. So we get 12 40-cent cheeseburgers and then go home and split a large fry between the 4 of us. And we had McDonald's on Sundays, and on Wednesdays it was 30-cent hamburgers. And like that's how our family like got through like that year of my dad quitting his job, and he eventually like started his own business and like doing his thing. It's awesome, and like it gave us the life that like we wanted. Like I had world-class parents, and I'm forever grateful. I mean, that's why I'm probably doing the podcast today, is I'm trying to pay it forward back to the people who may not have had the same situation. I had great parents. I mean, they're awesome, world class, but we had our hardship, and that hardship taught me like, you just gotta, put your nose to the grindstone and kick some ass. Like that's what it takes. Like get up in the morning. And my wife always wonders how I get out of bed so fast. I'm like, I got shit to do. I got asses to kick. Like that's how I roll. And I just forever motivated by being 13 and seeing what it was like to not have any money and having to eat 30-cent hamburgers. So every Sunday, now as a kid, it was great. I love McDonald's. So every Sunday and Wednesday, we just get our own American cheese and put it on our burger, and we got home and we had cheeseburgers on Wednesday too. But we just did it affordably. And then I haven't stomached this one yet, but the on like Tuesdays and Thursdays, we would my mom would get leftovers. There's a place called the Golden Palace. It's here in Wilkes-Barre, and she knew the lady who owned the catering, like part of it, and she would give us leftover food, and we'd eat the leftover food on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and of course Fridays pizza.
Pizza Fridays.
So a pizza costs $12, feeds your whole family, and that's how we survived for about a year. And it just
gave you perspective.
It gave me perspective to like, if you want something, you just gotta go get it done. And it's probably the reason I don't celebrate, because like you just never know when like the carpet's gonna get pulled out from under your feet, and like you just gotta like. You put the work in. And so someone who wants to start their own business or be entrepreneurial, you don't have to burn the ship. Just do it part-time. Just do it a few days a week. Do it as a hobby. Like just start though. Don't read any more books. You read enough. Just start.
Love it. Awesome. Redemption Part 2.
I hope so. First one was so bad.
Yeah. How'd you do? How do you think you did?
So much better. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed. This is what I like to talk about.
Yeah, and we're in person this time.
Oh yeah.
Last time we weren't, and we're in the studio. You got the full On the Stacks podcast experience.
We were talking about news stations and COVID. I don't know anything about COVID. I don't even watch the news. I don't even own like cable television. So like, I watch football.
Yeah,
but this is more my realm, more my
yeah,
speed.
Right here On the Stacks
it's
podcast.
It's the real deal.
Yeah. All right, man. I know you got to run. Danny Cronauer, On the Stacks podcast in the Blue Door Studio. Thanks for joining me.
All right, loved it. Thanks for having me.
If you'd like to learn more about the On the Stacks podcast, be sure to search the hashtag On the Stacks on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and leave a review. We'll catch you next time on the Stacks.